Hey guys, Crescent Moon. Tonight, we will follow a calm and gentle story that will help you relax and drift into deep, peaceful sleep. Before we begin, make your bed cozy, dim the lights, and let your body fully unwind. Close your eyes, take slow, deep breaths. Let's begin the story. The night had no sound, only the whisper of the wind gliding through the jungle leaves. Far beyond the hills of forgotten time, where the earth met the sleeping clouds, there stood an ancient temple, silent, untouched, and silver under the light of the moon. No one in the nearby village spoke its name anymore. They only called it the temple that dreams. Some said it was cursed. Others believed it was simply asleep, waiting for something that the world had already forgotten. The moonlight fell softly across its worn stone steps. The carvings on the walls, gods with closed eyes, dancers frozen in their last graceful step, seemed to breathe again when the night grew deep. Inside that temple, the air smelled of sandalwood and thyme. Dust floated in the pale light like quiet memories. And in the center of the great hall stood a small, cracked statue, a goddess with one hand raised toward the moon, her face half erased by centuries of wind and rain. In the village below, an old man named Aaron sat by his wooden window, staring up at that temple. He had done this every full moon for 60 years. To him, the temple was not haunted, it was lonely. And he knew why. He whispered into the night, his voice trembling like the flame of a dying candle. "You are still waiting for her, aren't you?" The wind answered with a sigh. Many years ago, long before Aaron's hair had turned white, the temple was alive with chants and bells. Pilgrims came from distant lands, carrying flowers, fire, and stories. They believed that if one prayed under the full moon, their soul would find peace, not only in this life, but in the next. At the heart of that temple was a priestess named Lyra. Her voice was said to calm storms. Her eyes carried the glow of the moon itself. She spoke to the wind as if it understood her, and every night she sang to the goddess, her song echoing through the mountains. But one night, the moon turned red, and the goddess fell silent. It was said that a foreign king had arrived, hungry for the temple's power, believing that the goddess was real, that her stone heart held the secret of immortality. When Lyra refused to reveal the rituals, the king's soldiers burned the offering halls and sealed the sanctum. No one saw Lyra again. Some said she was taken. Others whispered that she became part of the moonlight, her soul bound to the temple, waiting for the night when it would awaken again. Since that night, the temple had slept. No birds sang near it. No footsteps dared to echo inside its corridors. Only the moonlight came, faithfully, lovingly, like an old friend keeping watch over someone who never woke up. Aaron still remembered Lyra's voice. He had been a child then, hiding behind the temple gates. He remembered her words, soft as mist. When the moon forgets to rise, the temple will breathe again. He had never understood what that meant, until tonight. Because tonight, the moon did not rise. The sky stayed dark and quiet, and the air felt heavy, almost alive. The old man stood up, his lantern trembling in his hand. He looked toward the hill, and for the first time in 60 years, he saw a faint golden glow within the temple walls. He began to climb the path. Each step felt slower than time itself. The wind whispered stories, voices that weren't there, bells that hadn't rung in decades. When he reached the gates, they were open. No rust, no vines, no dust, as if the temple had been waiting for him. Inside, the air was warm. A soft hum vibrated in the stones beneath his feet. And there, beneath the statue of the forgotten goddess, stood a woman in white, her hair floating like smoke, her eyes full of moonlight. She smiled at him, a smile both familiar and eternal. "You came," she said softly. "You remembered." Aaron fell to his knees. He could not speak. The air shimmered around her, not solid, not ghost, but something in between dream and reality. "The temple has slept too long," she whispered. "It remembers every prayer, every voice, every silence." She turned toward the statue and touched its cracked surface. Light flowed from her fingertips, slow, white, and calm. The carvings around them began to glow, each one waking from centuries of stone sleep. Outside, The village saw it too. The hill was no longer dark. It was bathed in silver light, as if the moon had descended to rest upon the earth. The old man heard her voice one last time. "Tell them, the temple only sleeps in moonlight, never in the heart." And as he looked up, the woman was gone. Only the soft hum of the temple remained, like a lullaby carried by the wind. He sat there till dawn, watching the first light of morning fall across the ancient stones. And when the villagers came to find him, they found the temple open, and the statue of the goddess smiling, a faint tear carved in stone, glistening under the sun. That night, the moon returned, bright and full, and from far away, it looked as though the temple was sleeping again, peaceful, silver, and forever dreaming. The morning after the temple awakened, the world felt different. The air carried a sweetness that no one could name. The villagers, who once avoided even glancing toward the hill, now stood in silence at its base, staring, as sunlight touched the old stones that had slept for centuries. Aaron was gone. All that remained was his lantern, still glowing faintly, though no fire burned inside it. The children whispered that he had followed the goddess into her dream. The elders said the temple had claimed back one of its own. No one dared to climb that hill again. Not yet. That evening, a soft mist drifted across the valley. The moon was pale, almost shy, as if remembering the night it had hidden. From the distance, someone thought they heard a sound, a low hum, deep and steady, rising from the temple itself. It wasn't a voice, not quite. It was music, a song made of air and stone. In a small hut by the river, a young woman named Sera woke from a dream. Her heart was racing, though she couldn't say why. She had dreamed of the temple, but she had never been there, never even seen it. In her dream, she had stood before the statue of the goddess, and the stone lips had whispered a single line. "The song beneath the stone has begun again." Sera sat up, breathing softly. The wind outside her window carried the same faint hum. It was beautiful, slow and endless, like the ocean breathing. Something deep within her stirred. It felt like memory, though she had no reason to remember. Sera's grandmother, Mira, was once a temple singer. Before the fire, before the silence. Now she was old, her eyes cloudy with age. But when Sera told her about the dream, Mira's hands trembled. "The song," she whispered. "It was never meant to return." Sera frowned. "What song, Grandma?" Mira looked toward the hills, her voice soft and distant. "Long ago, the goddess of that temple was not worshipped with words or offerings. She was worshipped through sound, a sacred tone hidden in the stones themselves. The priestess, Lyra, was the only one who could awaken it, and when the temple was sealed, the song was buried with her." That night, Sera couldn't sleep. The hum had grown louder, echoing inside her mind, like a heartbeat she couldn't silence. Every breath she took matched its rhythm, steady, patient, eternal. She tried to block it out, but the melody called her, gentle yet impossible to resist. Finally, she stood up, wrapped her shawl around her shoulders, and began walking toward the hill. The forest was quiet, except for the whisper of leaves brushing against her arms. The moon guided her path, a silver thread through the darkness. With each step, she felt lighter, as if the earth itself was remembering her feet. When she reached the temple gates, she hesitated. The doors were open again, and the same warm air brushed her face. Inside, moonlight spilled across the floor, revealing thousands of tiny carvings, symbols glowing faintly like breath in the cold. At the center stood the statue, its eyes now open. Sera froze. The goddess was looking at her. And then, beneath the silence, the song began again, not from the air this time, but from within her. It started as a vibration in her chest, a soft resonance spreading through her bones. Her lips parted, and without knowing why, she began to hum. It wasn't her voice. It was older, deeper, filled with centuries of longing. The walls responded, each note awakening a hidden tone. The entire temple began to sing with her, a harmony of stone, air, and memory. Tears filled her eyes. The sound wasn't sorrowful, it was beautiful, like the sigh of something that had finally been remembered. And then, through the rising song, a shadow appeared, the outline of a woman standing by the statue. Her face shimmered in the moonlight, Her hair drifted as if underwater. It was Lyra. She smiled, the same eternal smile she had given Aaron. "You have my voice," she said softly. "The temple has been waiting for you." Sera's heart trembled. "I don't understand." "You don't need to," Lyra whispered. "You only need to sing." The temple walls pulsed with light. The carvings moved, slowly breathing. And as Sera sang, the stone beneath her began to melt, not into fire, but into liquid silver. She looked down and saw shapes within it. Faces, hands, forgotten prayers. They weren't trapped. They were dreaming. The song was their bridge, a lullaby carrying them between the worlds of sleep and memory. When dawn touched the horizon, the temple fell silent again. Sera collapsed near the statue, her body warm, her breath steady. The floor beneath her was cool stone once more. The air was peaceful. Outside, birds sang for the first time in 100 years. And when Sera opened her eyes, Lyra was gone, but the statue of the goddess was whole again. Her face no longer broken, her eyes alive with gentle light. Down in the village, the people awoke to a strange calm. The fields shimmered with dew like silver dust. The river sang softly, the same melody that now lived in Sera's heart. She stood at her window, watching the temple bathe in morning light, and whispered to herself, "It's not just a place. It's a memory that never stopped dreaming." That night, the moon rose higher than ever before, and the temple glowed not in silence, but in song. And far beyond the hills, 1,000 forgotten souls finally slept in peace. Night settled gently over the valley. The temple stood silent once again, bathed in soft silver light. Its stones seemed to breathe, not with sound, but with memory. Far below, in a small riverside cottage, Sera sat awake. The melody she had sung inside the temple still pulsed within her. Even now, she could feel it in her heartbeat, like the echo of a lullaby that refused to fade. She had not told anyone what she saw, not about the statue that came alive, nor the woman made of light who spoke her name. How could she? Some things were not meant to be spoken. They were meant to be felt. The world outside her window shimmered beneath the moon. The river flowed quietly, carrying with it the silver reflection of the night sky. And Sera wondered if the water remembered, if every drop once touched the stones of that ancient temple. She closed her eyes, and in the darkness behind her eyelids, the song returned. It began softly, as though the air itself was singing to her, a hum that rose and fell with her breathing. No words, no rhythm, just the pure sound of belonging. She saw images. A young girl, dressed in white silk, walking barefoot through the moonlit corridors of the same temple. Her hair shimmered like river light, and her voice was the same as Sera's. But this was not a dream. It felt older, like a memory belonging to the temple itself. The girl in white stopped before the great statue, the same goddess whose face now shone once again. She placed a lotus at the goddess's feet and whispered, "Let the moon hear what hearts cannot say." Then she sang, a soft, trembling song that drifted through the stone halls, touching every carving, every shadow. The walls glowed faintly, and the air around her began to dance. And for a brief moment, the temple itself seemed alive, as if the goddess was listening, smiling. Sera gasped and opened her eyes. The song stopped. The room was quiet again, but her hands were trembling. She whispered to herself, "That girl, who was she?" The answer came not from her mind, but from the river outside, a soft echo carried by the breeze. "She was you, before the forgetting." The words vanished as quickly as they came. Sera stood, staring at the reflection of the moon in the water, and for the first time, she saw not one moon, but two, one in the sky, and one inside her. The next morning arrived quietly, wrapped in the mist of dawn. Sera hadn't slept. The melody still floated inside her, soft and stubborn, like a secret that refused to fade. She walked to the river's edge barefoot. The stones were cool under her feet, and the air still smelled faintly of night jasmine. The water moved slowly, heavy with light, as if the moon had melted into it. Sera knelt down and touched the surface. It rippled like a pulse, and then she heard it again. That same soft whisper, coming not from above, but from beneath the water. "Come back, child of the moon." Her breath caught. It wasn't imagination. It was a voice, distant yet gentle, like the river itself was speaking through her heartbeat. She leaned closer. The reflection of her face shimmered, and for an instant, it wasn't her face at all. It was the girl in white silk, the one from her vision in the temple. Same eyes, same lips, same quiet sadness. Sera stumbled back, heart racing, but something within her didn't feel afraid. It felt recognized, like she had finally found the missing half of her own story. She whispered, almost to herself, "Who are you?" And the water answered, not with words this time, but with memory. The world around her shifted. The mist thickened. The air grew still. And suddenly, Sera wasn't standing by the river anymore. She was somewhere else. The ground beneath her was marble, white, glowing softly under the light of 1,000 candles. The scent of incense filled the air, and in the distance, bells were ringing, slow, sacred, eternal. It was the temple, alive, whole. People moved silently through its corridors, their faces calm, their eyes lifted toward the moonlight streaming through the open roof. And at the center, the girl in white stood before the goddess statue once again. But this time, she wasn't alone. Dozens of women stood behind her, each holding a small bowl of water. Their voices rose together, singing the same melody Sera had heard in her dreams. The sound wrapped around her like silk, a song of remembrance, of devotion, of eternal sleep. Sera reached out, wanting to touch the girl, to ask what this meant, but her fingers passed through air. And just as suddenly as it began, the vision faded. The temple, the voices, the light, all gone. Only the river remained. Only the reflection of the morning sun danced where the moon once was. Sera sank to her knees. She felt tears, but didn't know why. "Child of the moon." The whisper came again, faint and fading. "The temple remembers. And now, so do you." The wind stirred the water, and the last echo dissolved into the air. Sera looked up at the sky. The moon had vanished, but its presence still lingered. Inside her, quiet and glowing, she finally understood. The temple hadn't just called to her. It had been waiting for her return. The night fell slowly, stretching its shadows across the valley. Sera walked toward the temple once more. Her feet moved almost by instinct, guided by the faint hum still echoing in her chest. The path was familiar, yet strange. Every stone, every leaf, seemed to shimmer under the half-moon. It was as if the temple itself was awake, waiting. When she reached the gates, she saw him, an old man sitting quietly under the archway. His robes were simple, dusted with the silver light. His eyes, though clouded with age, held the calm of centuries. "I've been waiting for you," he said softly. His voice was like the wind through bamboo, gentle yet strong. Sera stepped closer, hesitant. "Who are you?" "The guardian," he replied. "I have kept watch over this temple since before your time. The moonlight remembers those who belong to it, and it has chosen you." The words were not frightening. Instead, they felt like a warm hand guiding her through darkness. "Why me?" she whispered. "Because you carry her song," he said, gesturing toward the temple. "The song of Lyra, the melody of the girl who sang to the moon." Sera's heart quickened. She had felt it in the river, in the night. But now, hearing it spoken aloud, she understood. She was not just a visitor. She was part of the temple's memory. The old man rose slowly, holding a small lantern. "Come," he said. "There is much to remember, and the temple will not wait forever." Together, they entered the temple. The air was cooler inside, heavy with incense and forgotten prayers. Moonlight filtered through broken windows, touching the stone floors like liquid silver. "This temple has slept too long," the guardian whispered. "It needs your voice to awaken its heart fully." Sera looked at the goddess statue. Her fingers itched to sing again, to release the hidden song trapped in stone for centuries. "I don't know if I can," she said softly. "You already have," the guardian replied. "And soon, you will understand why." The temple seemed to hum at his words, as though it knew the truth of what he said. Sera sat in the center of the great hall, her knees brushing the cold stone floor. The guardian knelt beside her, his lantern casting gentle shadows along the walls. "Close your eyes," he instructed. "Listen, the temple speaks through you." She obeyed. The world narrowed to a single heartbeat, a single sound, soft, deep, endless. Then it began. A faint note, rising from her chest, like water flowing over smooth stones. The temple responded immediately. The carvings on the walls trembled, and the faint silver glow spread slowly, lighting up hidden carvings that had not seen light in centuries. "Do not fear," the guardian whispered. "Let it guide you. Let it carry the memories of all who came before." Sera sang. Her voice blended with the temple itself, a harmony of stone and moonlight, of shadows and memory. Each note carried a story, of Lyra, the priestess, of pilgrims and offerings, of the countless nights when the temple had slept silently beneath the moon. The hall seemed alive. A gentle wind swirled around her, lifting her hair. The sound of water echoed softly, as if the river itself had joined her song. And then she understood. The temple's song was never just for the goddess. It was for every soul that had ever walked its halls, for every prayer that had ever been whispered, for every silence that had waited to be remembered. Sera's eyes opened. The goddess statue glowed faintly in the moonlight, her cracked stone healed by the resonance of the first song of the night. "You are the keeper now," the guardian said softly, "and the temple sleeps only when you do." Sera felt calm. For the first time in her life, she felt truly at home, as if she had always belonged to this place, and the temple had always belonged to her. The moon rose higher, shimmering silver on the walls, and the temple, for the first time in centuries, was awake. The temple was alive in a way Sera had never imagined. Every stone seemed to hum, every shadow whispered her name. The guardian led her to a narrow passage behind the goddess statue. "Few have walked here," he said. "Even Lyra feared what lies beyond these walls." The air grew cooler as they stepped inside. The faint glow of moonlight reflected off the walls, revealing inscriptions that seemed to move when she looked away. Sera felt a shiver, not of fear, but of recognition. The inscriptions spoke in a language she did not know, and yet she understood them perfectly, as if her soul remembered what her mind had forgotten. "These are the songs of the temple," the guardian explained. "Every note, every prayer, every silence is carved here. The priestess hid them, knowing one day someone would awaken them." The passage ended at a door of polished stone. It was plain, yet it radiated a quiet power. "Beyond this door," said the guardian, "you will face the first trial. To awaken the temple fully, you must sing not only with your voice, but with your heart." Sera felt the weight of the words. Her chest tightened, her hands trembled, but a calm warmth spread through her. The same warmth she had felt when the first song began. I will try," she whispered. The guardian smiled gently. "That is all that is needed." Sera placed her hand on the door. It was cold at first, then warm, as if the temple itself was breathing beneath her palm. A faint melody rose, barely audible, and she realized it was coming from inside her. "Sing," the guardian encouraged. "Let it flow. Do not think. Only feel." Her voice began to hum, slow and soft, echoing in the chamber, and suddenly the stone responded. The door pulsed, and a faint crack appeared, letting in a pale silver light. Sera took a deep breath. She felt the temple's heart, and the first step toward its deepest secret had begun. The door slowly opened, revealing a circular chamber. Its walls were carved with thousands of faces, each glowing faintly in the soft moonlight. Sera could feel their gazes on her. Watchful, expectant, patient. "This is the chamber of memories," said the guardian. "The temple keeps every soul that has sung here. Tonight, it will test you." The floor was smooth stone. In the center lay a shallow pool, reflecting the moon perfectly. Sera knelt and looked into it. The water rippled, and images began to rise. Herself as a child, the girl in white silk, Lyra singing, Aaron's lantern, every prayer she had ever felt. "You must harmonize with the memories," the guardian said softly. "Every note you sing must acknowledge the past. Every silence must honor what came before." Sera closed her eyes. Her voice rose slowly, trembling at first, then steadier, deeper, echoing through the chamber. The faces in the walls glowed brighter. The water shimmered, showing visions she had never seen. The temple sang with her, its heart awakened by her courage and understanding. She felt herself stretch beyond the chamber, beyond the temple, beyond the mountains and rivers. The moonlight flowed into her and through her, touching every stone, every shadow, every hidden corner of the ancient halls. "Yes," whispered the guardian, "you are ready to awaken the temple fully, but the final truth awaits. Only when you understand Lyra's secret will the song be complete." Sera opened her eyes. The pool reflected not just her face, but two others, Lyra and a girl she did not yet know. The melody lingered, soft, endless, as if the night itself had learned to breathe. The chamber was silent, yet alive. Every face carved in the stone seemed to watch her, waiting for her next note, her next breath. Sera knelt by the pool, her reflection merging with the moonlight. Then she saw it, a shadow forming above the water. It was Lyra, her white silk flowing like silver mist, her eyes deep and infinite. "You have awakened the song," Lyra said softly, "but you must understand why it sleeps and why it sings only to the moon." Sera's heart quickened. "Why me? Why now?" "Because the temple remembers," Lyra whispered, "and your soul carries the same melody I once sang. You are my echo, my memory, and my future all at once." The air shimmered around them. Sera felt warmth, light, and a gentle pull in her chest. The temple responded, stones vibrating faintly, as though acknowledging the bond between past and present. "I can feel the song inside me," Sera said, her voice trembling. "But it's bigger than me, bigger than any one person." Lyra smiled. "Exactly. That is why it waits. Every voice joins, every heart contributes. Only when the moonlight flows through all who remember will the temple awaken fully." Sera realized she was not alone. Her song was part of something eternal, woven with centuries of voices, prayers, and devotion. The guardian stepped closer, bowing his head. "Do not fear the connection. Let Lyra guide you." Sera reached out, and the spirit of Lyra brushed her hand lightly. A wave of understanding passed through her, not in words, but in memory. A lifetime of devotion, sacrifice, and song condensed into a single heartbeat. "Sing with me," Lyra said. And together, their voices intertwined, echoing through the chamber, through the temple, through the valley, carrying the song to every corner of the ancient stone. The air trembled. The walls glowed brighter, each carving vibrating in harmony. The water in the pool shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting not just moonlight, but every soul who had ever walked these halls. Sera and Lyra sang together, their voices one, soft, gentle, endless. The temple breathed, its heartbeat syncing with theirs. "Now," whispered Lyra, "you will see the temple's true form." The stone floor shifted, slowly revealing a hidden staircase spiraling downward. Silver light flowed up, guiding the way. "The heart of the temple lies below," Lyra said. "The song has always been its key. Only the chosen may enter." Sera felt no fear. Instead, a calm certainty, as though she had been walking this path for centuries. Together, they descended. The chamber beneath was vast, filled with soft light that seemed to come from nowhere, yet everywhere at once. At the center was a crystal basin, glowing with moonlight. The song pulsed from it. The heart of the temple, alive, waiting, patient. "Place your hand," Lyra instructed. Sera obeyed. The moment her fingers touched the crystal, a wave of warmth spread through her body, through her mind, through her very soul. The temple awakened fully, not with fire or noise, but with a quiet, serene, eternal light. The carvings on the walls began to shimmer with color. The statues exhaled a gentle glow, and the air itself seemed to hum a lullaby. Sera closed her eyes. She was no longer just a girl. She was a part of the temple, its memory, its song, its light. Lyra smiled, fading slowly into the silver glow. The temple sleeps only with those who remember. And now, it will never sleep alone again. The valley outside lay bathed in quiet moonlight, the river reflecting the serenity of a world where ancient dreams and human hearts had finally met. The temple was silent, yet alive in a new way. Every stone, every carving, every shadow breathed softly, as if exhaling centuries of waiting. Sera stood in the crystal chamber, her hands still touching the glowing basin. The song pulsed through her veins, not hers alone, but of every soul who had ever sung, prayed, or remembered. You feel it now? Lyra's voice whispered softly. The temple's heart, its memories, its dreams. You are no longer just a visitor. You are its guardian. Sera felt a deep warmth spread through her chest. Her heartbeat aligned with the rhythm of the temple, and a profound calm filled her being. The guardian beside her nodded, his eyes reflecting centuries of patient watchfulness. The temple waits for those who understand, he said, and now it waits for no one. The walls shimmered with silver and gold. The carvings moved gently, revealing hidden stories of devotion, loss, and hope. Moonlight poured in, touching every corner, every shadow. And Sera realized she could hear the soft whispers of the past, the prayers of pilgrims, the laughter of children, even the gentle hum of Lyra's voice from centuries ago. You will never walk alone, Lyra whispered. For the temple and its song are part of you, and you are part of it. Sera closed her eyes, letting the sound carry her. She felt lighter, freer, yet rooted deeper than ever in the temple's ancient stone. The river outside flowed quietly, reflecting the serenity of a world touched by moonlight and memory. The valley seemed to breathe along with the temple. Even the wind carried a soft hum, as if singing a lullaby to the sleeping world. The night stretched softly across the valley. Sera walked through the temple halls, her steps echoing gently. Every wall, every statue, every carving seemed to recognize her now. The song was no longer something she carried alone. It was part of the very air, flowing in and around her, touching every corner of the temple. She paused by the goddess statue. Moonlight pooled at its feet. She placed her hand gently on the stone. I understand now, she whispered. The temple sleeps only in silence, but it will awaken through those who remember. The crystal basin glowed softly in response. Sera felt the pulse of the temple, calm, eternal, infinite. The guardian smiled and stepped back. You are ready. The temple's heart is yours to protect. For the first time, Sera felt fully at peace. She was not just a girl who had heard a song. She was the song itself, a living bridge between the past, the present, and the gentle eternity of the Moonlit Temple. Outside, the moon shone brighter than ever. The river reflected silver across the valley. The air carried the faint hum of a lullaby, soft enough to calm even the deepest sleepers. Sera leaned against the cool stone wall, closing her eyes. The temple hummed around her, the eternal song cradling her, and the night seemed endless in its peace. The moonlight bathed the temple, and for the first time in centuries, the ancient halls slept in harmony with the world outside. Sera's last thought before drifting into a gentle, dreamless sleep was simple. I am home, and the temple is awake. The morning after the temple's awakening, the valley lay bathed in a calm, silver haze. The river whispered gently against its banks, and the wind carried the faint hum of the eternal song. Sera walked through the temple halls, now fully familiar, yet endlessly mysterious. Each step resonated softly in the stones beneath her feet. The carvings seemed to shift subtly, revealing stories she had never noticed before. Pilgrims kneeling, children laughing, priestesses singing under the full moon. The crystal basin in the heart of the temple pulsed faintly. It was as if the temple itself was breathing, aware of every heartbeat inside its walls. Sera paused and pressed her hand to the basin. A soft warmth spread through her body, and then she felt it. Not a voice, but a presence, ancient and knowing. You have awakened the temple, it whispered, but its secrets are many. Only those who listen with their soul may understand. Sera closed her eyes. The air thickened, shimmering with moonlight, and the faint outlines of hidden chambers appeared before her. Each chamber contained relics, carvings, and scrolls, fragments of rituals and memories that had been sealed for centuries. The guardian appeared silently beside her. The temple has many layers, he said. Some are safe for the mind to know. Others are only revealed to those who sing the eternal song. Sera nodded, feeling the weight and the beauty of his words. I want to know everything, she whispered. Patience, he replied. First, you must visit the Hall of Shadows. There, the past and present meet, and the temple will test your heart. Sera followed him through the winding corridors. The walls seemed alive with faint silver light, showing shadows of past events as if the temple remembered them itself. She saw visions of pilgrims lighting candles, children leaving offerings, priestesses whispering chants that echoed through centuries. When they reached the Hall of Shadows, the air grew still. The chamber was circular, its walls carved with intricate patterns of moons and stars. A faint mist hovered above the floor, shimmering in the silver light. Sera felt the pulse of the temple grow stronger here. This hall reveals the truth hidden in silence, the guardian said. Close your eyes, listen, and let the temple guide you. Sera did as he instructed. She closed her eyes, and instantly, the mist seemed to rise, forming shapes. People from different eras, faces from centuries past, all kneeling, all praying, all singing the eternal song. She felt their hopes, their fears, their love, and their devotion, all merging into a single, endless melody. Do you hear it? The guardian asked. This is the temple's true voice, the song of every soul who has ever remembered it. Sera nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. The song was no longer just inside her. It was the temple itself, alive, breathing, eternal. A soft glow rose from the center of the hall. The moonlight intensified, filling the chamber with silver brilliance. Sera stepped forward and felt the final layer of the temple reveal itself. These are the secrets of the Moonlit Temple, whispered a familiar voice. Guard them, cherish them, and continue the song. Only then will the temple's heart remain awake for generations to come. Sera took a deep breath. She understood now, the temple was not just a place. It was a living memory, a sanctuary of souls, a song that never ended. And she was its guardian, its voice, its light, its heartbeat. The valley lay quiet under the soft glow of the moon. The temple hummed softly, a gentle, endless rhythm that touched every stone. Sera walked through its halls, barefoot, feeling the pulse of centuries beneath her feet. Her hand brushed over the carvings, and she realized each one held a memory, a secret, a fragment of the past. The temple was alive in every sense, its power not in fire or stone, but in the whispers of those who had loved and remembered. You can feel it, can't you? The guardian said, appearing beside her. The temple speaks through memory, through song, through moonlight. It grants understanding to those who listen with their hearts. Sera nodded. She had felt it before, in the river, in the crystal basin, in the Hall of Shadows. But now it was stronger, flowing through every fiber of her being. He led her to a small, hidden chamber deep within the temple. The walls glowed faintly, etched with symbols that shimmered in silver. At the center, a pedestal held a crystal orb, pulsing softly with moonlight. This, the guardian said, is the heart of the Moonlit Temple. It holds the power to connect past, present, and future. Only the guardian can awaken its full potential. Sera stepped closer. The orb's light touched her skin, warm and soft. Her heartbeat matched its rhythm, slow and steady. She felt visions rising. Images of lyra singing, children leaving offerings, pilgrims praying, the river flowing endlessly beneath the moon. What must I do? She whispered. Sing, the guardian replied. Sing the eternal song. Let the temple guide your voice. Let the moonlight flow through you and awaken the hidden powers. Sera closed her eyes. The temple seemed to exhale, surrounding her with silver light. Her voice rose, trembling at first, then steady, blending with the whispers of every soul that had ever walked these halls. The orb glowed brighter, pulsing with each note. The carvings on the walls shimmered, releasing waves of moonlight that flowed across the temple. The air felt alive, charged with something ancient and gentle, a power that did not consume, but nurtured, healed, and remembered. This is the temple's gift, the guardian whispered. The ability to touch every memory, every heart, without fear or harm. You are its voice, its keeper, its bridge to the world. Sera felt tears streaming down her face, not of sadness, but of awe and deep serenity. She realized that the temple's power was not in its stone, not in its relics, but in the harmony of memories, the song of souls, and the eternal embrace of moonlight. Outside, the valley shimmered softly. The river reflected the moon in gentle ripples. The wind carried a faint melody, a lullaby that reached every corner of the sleeping world. Sera opened her eyes. The orb's light had dimmed to a gentle glow. She was calm. The temple was awake, and she knew she would guard its secrets, its songs, its power. With every heartbeat, every breath, every night of her life. The moon hung low over the valley, spilling silver across the temple walls. Sera stood in the center of the crystal chamber, her hands pressed to the glowing orb. The pulse of the temple vibrated through her, steady and eternal. The guardian appeared silently beside her. "Tonight, you face the trial," he said, voice calm but commanding. "To protect the temple, you must prove your heart is aligned with its memory. Only those who understand the song in every shadow may guard its power." Sera nodded, feeling a mixture of anticipation and serenity. The trial was not of strength or fear, but of understanding, patience, and harmony. Everything she had learned through her journey so far. The chamber shifted suddenly. The walls melted into shadows, swirling around her. She was no longer in the temple, but in a vast, endless night. The moon hung overhead, larger than life. Its light soft but piercing. From the darkness, visions appeared. Memories of the temple's past guardians. Pilgrims who had forgotten. Priestesses who had whispered the eternal song. And even faces she did not recognize. Ancient souls waiting for remembrance. "You must harmonize with them all," the guardian whispered. "Sing, and let the temple hear your understanding." Sera took a deep breath. She closed her eyes, letting the pulse of the orb guide her. Her voice rose, soft and trembling at first, then steady, deepening, blending with the echoes of the shadows. The visions began to respond. Faces softened, expressions of hope and gratitude appearing. The shadows swirled in rhythm with her song. The moonlight intensified, touching every corner of the endless night. Sera felt warmth spread through her chest, a connection not just with the temple, but with every soul it had ever sheltered. "Do not stop," the guardian encouraged. "Let the song carry every memory, every fear, every forgotten hope. Only then will the trial end." Her voice became a melody of moonlight and memory, rising, falling, intertwining with the gentle hum of the temple's heart. She realized that protection did not mean power or control. It meant harmony, understanding, and eternal remembrance. The shadows shifted one final time. The vast night dissolved, revealing the crystal chamber once again. The orb glowed softly, serene and gentle. The temple hummed around her, a quiet, infinite lullaby. "You have passed," the guardian said, bowing his head. "The temple's heart is safe, for its guardian understands its song." Sera felt a deep calm. Her body relaxed, her heartbeat steady, her mind light as moonlight itself. She was no longer just a girl who had heard a song. She was its guardian, its voice, its memory, and its protection. Outside, the river reflected the moon in perfect silence. The valley was calm, the wind carrying the faintest melody, a lullaby that promised peace to every listener. Sera leaned against the cool stone wall of the temple. She closed her eyes. The temple hummed around her, its heart alive, eternal, and safe. "I will guard you," she whispered softly. "And together, we will sing forever." The moon rose higher, casting silver across the valley. The temple's song spread through the night, a gentle, endless melody cradling the world into peace.